Hey guys, it's Craig Miller from 670 The Score, 670thescore.com. I'm here with Bobby Hitz from Hitz Boxing. He's got a fight coming up February 15th. Bobby, give me some of the details of the fight coming up, some of the fighters, and what can we expect to see February 15th?
We got a great show at the Horseshoe Casino, which is the finest, fighting venue in the whole Midwest. I think it's like being in Las Vegas without having to get on an airplane. Up top on the show, we have a rematch with Donatas Bondaravis. He's taking on David Thomas in a great rematch. These two this was like Hagler Hearns, their first fight. Both guys were knocked down. Bondaravis came back to have a questionable stoppage. So we're going to do it again with these two fellas, and it's going to be a barn burner. Also, we have Dimar Ortuz, real exciting cruiserweight kid. He's come a long way. He's defeated like 3 undefeated guys on his way up to where he's at right now, and he's in a really good fight with Ray Lopez out of Michigan. Also on the show, there's Gennaro Mendez, a real up and coming junior welterweight fighter from the North Shore. He's a guy to keep your eye on. He's really exciting. We have Jimmy Murphy. We have Hollywood. Adon Ortiz. We got the battle of the little guys. Ortiz is going to be out there swinging away, and we're trying to make a potential matchup with him and Johnny Dieterman, who should really be the uncrowned champion because everyone's afraid to fight this kid, and they're in the same weight class. So hopefully he'll see some chinks in his armor we can make that fight happen.
Okay, my whole deal is the reason why I'm doing this for 670 The Score, CBS Radio. I don't see any coverage in boxing here in Chicago, television, radio, newspapers. This used to be one of the best cities for boxing. Give me your take on what you see today and what is the future of the sport of boxing, not only in this city, but around the country.
Well, boxing is going to survive. I mean, it's like apple pie, it's like hot dogs, it's like baseball. It's been around forever, and it's never going to go anywhere.
It's expanding. It's not dying. It's more global.
There you go.
More. I'm sorry.
You got right in my face.
No,
right, keep out of my face, all right?
Yeah,
Anyways, it's the media here in Chicago, especially, wants us to build the product, then they'll follow it. But if they would play along and help us create some of these kids. I mean, here I have the number 5 heavyweight in the world, Freza Kendo. He's the 5th best heavyweight in the whole entire world. Why is that not being covered, especially when American heavyweights are lacking out there? And he's the guy, he could be the heir apparent to the throne, so he's a guy that's really deserving of some press here in town. I know Fox, Lou Canellis did some stuff on him, which we're really appreciative of. We do get some publicity here, but it's not on a daily basis or weekly basis or monthly basis. It's like, they want to just cover the big stuff and don't understand like what we do is the farm system for the bigger things. So you have some kids here locally who are really exciting fighters, kids that come from these neighborhoods here that build up this great city. And I think that we have to start to just build this thing. And so I've been promoting here the longest. I've been the longest running promoter here in the Chicagoland area. And not only, I was a former fighter, so I've been in this business, my whole life. So I think from the standpoint of, I think if we just keep doing what we're doing, it's going to happen. It take young guys like you to take an interest in the sport and the business, which we're really appreciative of. And I think in time it'll get back to where it was because everything that was old was new. Like those shoes, those were in 1982. Now they're back again that you have on. So same thing goes here. Right.
No, he's got a lot of bad jokes. We just had dinner. He's been telling bad jokes all day. But the sport is changing. It used to be the heavyweights. I grew up in a generation, watching Mike Tyson, Roy Jones, fighters like that. And I see the Pacquiao, the Mayweathers. Good fight last weekend with Salido and Gennady Golovkin.
Easy for you to say.
Right, yeah, exactly. Why isn't there... you got the Klitschko's. Why can't anybody compete with the Klitschko's? Where are all the heavyweights at? Are they losing out to football? You said that you played football. Maybe you could have had a career in football. You chose boxing. What's the reason for the lack of heavyweight fighters?
Well, think about it. In this present day and age, how many moms want their kids to go to the boxing gym? They're going to say, go play baseball, go play the safer sports, or so they think. Boxing it's for a select few. It's not for everybody. And I think the biggest problem with boxing is the lack of network television coverage of it. back when I was growing up and before my time, it was the Gillette Cavalcade of Sports. It was on every Friday night. Then when I was growing up, you had, you know, there was only, guess what? There was probably only like maybe 6 television stations in the whole existence of television. You had 2, 5, and 7 and 9, and Channel 32 and 26 and 11. But 2, 5, and 7 were the big networks: ABC, NBC, and CBS. I don't know if they're in that order. But
what happened? Why is it not on ABC, CBS anymore? What happened? I mean, there just seems to be a lack of interest in the sport now. I mean, there's so many sports you have to compete with. I understand, baseball, football, basketball. It's always been like that. I mean, what happened to the sport? I mean, I just don't. I'm trying to understand it from a guy from your background.
From what I understand, that there was some greedy things going on in the business in those days where I think the networks were just loading up on the money to the promoter. And I think when it was all said and done, the networks thought, it really just, I think, came down to just economics. They were paying a lot of money for boxing back then, tons of money, millions and millions of dollars for those fights that were on the Saturday afternoon. And I think they just thought other methods of programming, because programming evolved, other networks popped up and competition popped up. And, you had the, NBA, Major League Baseball, the NFL have all evolved tremendously in those times. And boxing still kind of basically stayed the same. So I think it really just came down to economics. I thought, I know like when USA Boxing was doing it for 17 years, and the man who bought the network, Barry Dillard, I think is his name, thought he could make more money showing, Bewitch reruns and doing live boxing. So, I mean, that's really what happened. It came down to just economics, I think.
For your company, Hitz, what is your overall goal? I mean, you've done shows outside of Chicago. Give me your opinion on the state of Illinois. We talked a little bit about it at dinner.
I think right now the state of boxing in the state of Illinois is horrendous because of the commission. You can't get, they just have, the right hand doesn't know what the left hand's doing, and you need to have some intervention from these politicians to really get somebody up there that knows what they're doing. The last man that knew what he was doing, Ron Pacillo, just retired, and people who are left to take his place, they don't know anything. You can't get anything answered. Fighters can't get licensed. Promoters can't get dates. You can't. They change the rules as the game goes. There's just no efficiency up there. So for me personally, I really don't want to promote in this state until things change. That's why I don't mind hopping the border, going right into Hammond, and going to the wonderful Horseshoe Casino. We've been there since 2009, and I look forward to coming back here once things change. But for right now, that's kind of my little mini protest. Hitz Boxing, is going to really try hard not to do anything here, just because we can't get anything done with the state government. And I've talked to the governor numerous times, and he's aware of the issue, and he's like, I understand he has the budgets he has to take care of first and foremost in this state, but our whole industry is really at a standstill because, like I said, fighters go to get licensed, and you have people up there, asking what their credentials are, and it's just crazy. You can't get anything done here.
Right. You're gonna have the fight February 15th at the Horseshoe. The venue holds about 2,500 people. You've had sold out crowds before. Do you plan on this being a sold out crowd?
I'll be honest with you, I never really know what to expect of the night of. I'm not a guy that peruses, the Ticketmaster website to see how many seats I got in, because I know I have to do my job as a promoter. I'm not like other guys here who go and make all the fighters sell the tickets and pay for their own fights. I don't do things like that. I'm a promoter. I go out and I do my job. We grassroots. We're up hanging posters, passing out flyers. We're working the phones. We're doing everything the way you should do it as a promoter. Not telling a fighter, you want to be on my show. Well, here's what you got to cover your end and your opponent's end and his travel and his meals, and you got to pay me something. That's not a promoter. That's a guy, I don't even know what you call that. That's a fraud.